All right, here we go. Hello, everybody. Welcome back to the Reyes Reflection Podcast. Always free to subscribe. And of course, show your boy some love on the socials at I'm Nathanael Reyes. Now, this episode is going to be fun and different. For starters, it's the first time ever that I'm interviewing someone twice. So some of you may know him as a girl dad, part of the Elite Eight on The Voice, your former teacher, a cowboy, but I have the pleasure of knowing him as my friend. So making his appearance for the second time on the Reyes Reflection Podcast, Noiva, welcome back to the pod.
Oh man, dude, I did not know I was the first person to come back. Like, what? I'm honored. This is crazy. Wow. I'm so happy to be here and to be the first person to do this. Thank you, man. I appreciate that.
No problem. No, I appreciate you doing this, especially, like I said, with all your time constraints and things like that. Now, the last time we talked, you hadn't done your battles yet, your knockouts, or your playoffs. So we'll dive right into this, okay? So
Wow.
let's start with
A lot of updates, right?
right, seriously, and we've talked off air and things like that. But this. Yes, it's been a long time. It's only
Yes.
been it's been 3 or 4 weeks, but it feels like a much, and I'm sure it feels a lot longer for you with everything that you're going through because you recently flew out to LA for the show, right? It was within the last week, I believe. Is that correct?
Yeah. Yeah. So I just flew. We just flew back last. This past, was it Friday? Yeah, last Friday.
Yeah, yeah. So your battles, you were on Team Chance and you performed a duet with Ray. I believe you called it a duet because you didn't see it as a battling because you're trying to do a good show. I had goosebumps when you sang your line. You were on fire. So what was it like performing that song with Ray? And talk about the experience of working with Chance.
Yeah. So I would have to say first and foremost, Ray was amazing. Like from the start, like me and Ray hadn't really like we actually connected right at the end of the blind auditions. Like we hadn't met before until I think the day before blind auditions. And I like we chopped it up and we're like, dude, like you this what? And then we just started talking and we text each other a lot in our time before we flew back out for the other phases of the show. And so it was always just texting each other, saying, hey, how are you, what's up, like, update on your life, whatever. And then we find out that we're going against each other. And I'm like, no, not my boy Ray. Really? Y'all gonna put me against it? Like, why y'all put us against each other, man? Like, we just became good friends. Now we're going up against each other. And so, and really now he's like my little brother for real. Like that's how great of a relationship me and Ray have. And that in that moment, it made me a little nervous because I wasn't expecting to go against him. And then with the song choice that we were given, it was like we were both in new territory because we both did not know the song. Very like we weren't very familiar with the song, and so we just kind of had to learn the song together, kind of like put ourselves into it in order to learn the song and then be able to push it out into the world. And I think overall it was a really cool experience, especially working with Chance because it was in a different aspect than it would, than it was or than it would be if I was in the playoff rounds because it would be more one on one with Chance because we were both, working with him at the same time. There were a lot of nerves because we were like, what is he gonna say, in this, in our meeting? Like, is he gonna like my performance better or is he gonna like Reyes? Like, what is it like about, what is it what is he gonna say to us, basically?
Right.
And he actually had some really great feedback for both of us. And he was chill. Like he made it feel, he made us feel like we were a part of, his group. And he wanted to share everything he could in the time that he could. It was a short amount of time, but, he made you feel like home when he gave his advice. And so working with Ray was amazing. It was a great experience. And in the end, it ended up working out for both of us, which I was really proud of, because we really put our heart and soul into that performance. And I'm really glad that, from the start, our goal was, like I said, it wasn't a battle, it was a duet. And our goal was to both finish out, on top. And it ended up working out that way.
Yeah. And you did great, and that's why I said it as a duet, because I know that it's battling, but what's tough is you end up gaining a legitimate friendship and relationship with these people. So it's hard
Yeah.
because you hate to see them go, and you all are sharing this once in a lifetime opportunity. So I like that you were able to understand that, and at the end of the day, you are just trying to perform a duet that's going to be on YouTube and TV and history for as long as we can remember, because there's even clips that are 10, 12 years out already from when the show first started, all on YouTube. So I think that that's
Yeah.
perfectly said. Kelly then called you infectious. Blake said it was almost as looking like a younger him in an album cover because of the cowboy hat and the all black. High praises by all the coaches. Chance chose Ray, however. But Blake said he brought you back home. What was going through your head when Chance chose Ray? Because as we just talked about, you do have a good relationship with him and you want to see him succeed. And I thought you handled yourself really well as you were saying your goodbyes. You were saying, I just appreciate the opportunity. But internally, there must have been some sort of like, oh man, I can't believe my time on the show is done. Or maybe not. I could be wrong. So I want to hear from you. What was going on in your head during that time?
Yeah. Honestly, the only thing that went on in my head the moment that he called Ray's name was, I'm so proud.
Yeah.
That's literally the only thing that came in my head. I was very proud of him because I know how hard both of us worked. And if I was going to go home that day, I'm going home knowing that the other person, Ray, was going to go and succeed past whatever I did. And if it was me 10 years ago, yeah, I would have like definitely felt some type of way about not making it further.
Yep.
But this is a time where I say the older you get, you start to learn some things and you become a little more wise. And it really didn't matter that much to me anymore, because the only reason why I did this show from the start was because I took a chance. That's it. I took a chance. And I almost turned it down from the start. Like as we talked about before, I almost turned it down. And if it wasn't for my wife, my partner, she convincing me, her convincing me to go ahead and do it and give it a try, then I would have never been here in the first place. So everything that I do after that blind audition in itself is just a blessing, because I would have never even have done it if it hadn't been for the inspiration from my daughters and for my partner convincing me to. So yeah, all of that.
Yeah. And I do remember you sharing that in the last episode that we did. So you took this leap of faith, but again, it worked out to your favor. Blake said he brought you home. He wanted you from the beginning, but Chance blocked him. So during the knockouts now, you got to work with Blake and Reba. You sang I Put a Spell on You. Did you get to choose that song yourself?
Yes, I did get to choose that song. So I there were a couple of songs that I saw on the list where I was like, okay, I think I could do really good justice to these songs. And so that one, another one that I had on my like my little short list, I guess you could say, was "Can't You See" by the Marshall Tucker Band. It's like a Southern rock song, classic Southern rock song. And then I also had, what was the other song that was on my short list? Oh, "Numb" by Linkin Park, which is also another one that I'm like very fond of. I love that song. Um, so those were like my top three, I guess you could say. And then ultimately, I went with I Put a Spell on You, because I just felt like that song, the meaning of that song is really cool. And I felt like I could do something different that no one has ever done on the show with that song. And I was just like, everything was just all like, it was like the planets were aligning, as they say. Like, it just all felt the right song at the right moment.
And you got to work with Blake now, so a little bit of a transition from Chance, just different personalities. I feel like from
Mm-hmm.
some of the people that I've interviewed, Blake gives off that uncle vibe and that family member vibe because he's just so down to earth. And I'm not saying that Chance isn't, but different people. So talk to me about how it was working with Blake and Reba, because you got to work with
Oh, yeah.
two just icons in the industry. Like it's you're lucky enough that you got to work with one in Chance. Now you get to work with two additional ones because of your circumstances.
Yep.
So talk to me about that.
Yeah. So working with Blake, like people said, like, he really is. He's like a big brother slash like that uncle, that you like to chill with. Um, like, he's a great mentor. Like, I mean, just being around him and seeing how he works has been an incredible experience. And specifically in the knockout rounds, the thing that stood out to me most working with both him and Reba was my whole intention throughout that part was trying to make sure that I didn't look like I was about to shit bricks. Like, that's literally my goal, because I was nervous, because I was like, I'm like, I don't know how, like, this is gonna end up going. Like, I'm gonna be in front of two freaking superstars, like one who is just a mega star, Reba, and I used to watch her on television as a kid.
Same.
And so I'm just like, this is insane. Like, I'm really about to be in front of this lady, like, and I'm gonna sing in front of her. And so I was like calming myself down, but then at the same time, like, trying to ground myself in the reality of the situation.
Yep.
And that helped a lot, because I was able to take whatever advice that she gave, and really like think about what she was telling me. Well, both of them were telling me. And the great advice that she gave, I was so glad that I got to ask questions too. I think I ended up asking her like 3 or 4 questions, but the one that really stood out to me is the one that they actually aired. And that was me asking her, what's some of the best advice that you were ever given by someone in the industry? And it was from this amazing female country songwriter named Mayborn Axton, who they called her the mother of Nashville. Like, that's literally her name. She's like the mother of Nashville. And the advice that she said was that you always show up on time, always be prepared, and never waste anyone's time. And like, to know that, like, to get that information from her, and that's how I've always been, is I've been very cognizant of, not trying to waste people's time, and always, being respectful of everyone and their, what they do, because there are some people in this world who don't respect other people's time and their commitments. And I think hearing that was a validation, that I am doing some of the right things, that my parents raised me right. And and then I was able to learn more about Mayborn Axton, like, after that whole conversation, and how she actually helped open the door for Reba, and she helped open the door for Blake. And both of them wouldn't be who they are if it wasn't for her opening that door for them in Nashville. And so to know that I could be like that person, I could be, Blake or even Reba could reach out to me even after the show is over, depending on, even not even depending on how far I make it on the show, but they could be my Mayborn Axton, or someone watching me on the show could be my Mayborn Axton and wants to, put themselves into me and help open doors for me. And it's like that just goes to show you, how the power of human connection, and how people can like, genuine people really actually do like to help you if you are genuine yourself.
I think that's beautifully said. And it's funny, isn't it funny how you can remember certain things? I want to go back to the watching the Reba, because I used to watch Reba on it's not Freeform. It wasn't Freeform. I think it was ABC Family when I was growing up.
ABC
Yes,
Family, yeah.
after school, I'd get off the bus, I'd grab those little pretzel snacks, the stick snacks, and I would watch Reba show at like 3 or 4 o'clock in the afternoon. So I wanted to circle back on that, because I was like, isn't it funny how you remember those things of our childhood? And then also going back to what you were saying about the advice. Time is truly the best currency. That's what I feel. I've always lived that way, and I've always been the type of person that I feel like time is the most precious thing. I know we talked in the last episode, we both have worked with kids at one point in our lives, and that was always something I used to say to the children that I used to work with. I used to say, I can lose $100, but guess what? I can go ahead and make another $100 in some capacity. I can sell something, I can work, what have you. If I lose an hour of my life, if I lose even 5 minutes, 10 minutes, I can never get that back. I can never get it back. So time is truly the best currency, which I think shows your appreciation, because you were able to recognize that this was a moment in time that you were able to share with some icons that you've had in your life in different ways too. You said you've been fans of their music, but also just even Reba's TV show. So you being able to have that moment, ask her what's the best advice she's received, or what's the best advice she could give you, is just something that is really something special. So I think that you're doing a great job, my friend, and you did an amazing performance. You rocked it. I believe you faced what was her name? I don't want to.
Yeah, so I went against Tasha Jessen.
Tasha. It's funny you said Tasha Jessen. I was gonna say Jessen, but I didn't know that it was switched. Yeah.
So Tasha.
Yes,
And
she did
was
great
incredible.
too. She did great too.
Yeah,
Yes.
she was incredible. I think like she was the perfect knockout partner. Like she welcomed me into open arms on Team Blake. Like with her, she was on Team Blake from the start. And the thing that a lot of people were even telling me is that, hey, like, there's a possibility that Blake could choose her over you, because of the fact that he's very loyal to people who are on his team from the start.
Mm-hmm.
And like, you just to ground you in reality that there's a possibility that could happen. And I went in with that full intention of saying, you know what, I know he could choose her, but I'm gonna have to make it hard for him to choose her.
Yep.
And so, and that's no disrespect to her, because she did a phenomenal job. Like she is an incredible singer and an incredible performer. And just her playoff performance that aired the other night was incredible. It was great. And so I just, I went in with the intention of saying, you know what, I don't think it's time for me to go home yet. I worked hard to get on Team Blake, and now I need to prove to him that I deserve to be here.
I think he said something to that effect during your battles. I think he said, "You're making me go to you, and I like it, so I'm gonna choose you." I think so. I think you and him have that kinship. The two of you, on a personal level, we'll switch gears here. Blake ended up choosing you, but the two of you have a kinship in a different way as well. We talked about it in the last episode. Prior to your playoff performance, you had a heart-to-heart with Blake about losing your brother, Alfred, and now he lost his brother. I believe he lost his at 14 years old. Can you talk about his
brother Richie?
Can you talk about that moment and what it was to have a heart-to-heart with him about something that magnitude?
Yeah, I just thought it was kind of, as they say, kismet, in the Yiddish term for, fate.
Yeah.
I really thought it was kismet that I was able to tell my brother's story, and to be able to sing such a powerful song like "A Change Is Gonna Come," and then have them understand the meaning behind why I chose that song, and then them actually listen to me and then want to know more. And then Blake, out of the four of them, really piquing his interest and him wanting to learn more about it after that, and wanting to hear my original song. um that was something that really stood out to me. Like, it just, the moment that he was, when he because he what he said was, it was like, he was like, I've been here for a long time, and he was like, I've been doing this for a pretty long, pretty good amount of time. And he said, but I just, something that really stood out to me about you, he was like, I can feel the genuineness around you, and I really want to hear that song that you wrote for your brother, because I've also lost a brother myself. And I hadn't known that. I didn't know, that in that moment. But for him to even open up after I opened up, during this was during the blind auditions, and for him to even, just bring that up, that he also lost a brother in that moment, like, that really made me say, yeah, like, that really, like, he really cares. Like, he really, from the start, it really brought it had to bring something out of him. So I was very thankful to be able to even, talk about um our siblings together, and to learn a little bit about his brother as well. And kind of segueing a little bit, but that was during the playoffs where we were able to kind of talk about our brothers again, and like learning that his brother liked to play sports, and I was like, my brother liked to play sports too. Like, he was all American in football and basketball and baseball, and he was like, yeah, my brother played baseball. And like, to know that both of our brothers had a little bit in common, in that sense, was just really cool, like, to know. And then, like, the part where he was like, yeah, my brother, he would, you could hear him 6 blocks away, because he was blasting the radio. And I was like, that was literally my brother too. My brother had a Dodge Ram, and he would always have the music all the way up. And the one song I always remember, like, he would always play whenever I came home, was Cruise by Florida Georgia Line.
Oh, I love
Like,
that
that was
song.
his song. He wore that song, and I'm telling you, he wore it out. Like, he had it as a ringtone on his phone. Like, he had it like, it was just always playing every time I saw him. And I was just like, bro, this dude, like, you still listening to that song? And like, it had already been out probably like a year and a half by this time. And I'm just like, dude, you still playing that song. Dang. And but he loved it. Like, that's the type of music he loved. Like, so that's another reason why I appreciate Blake, because my brother was the one that introduced me, to a lot more country artists. And Blake was one of those artists that he introduced me to, and he listened to a lot of. Because my brother, he was a real deal. I'm like, I'm a cowboy. My brother was the real deal. Like he loved his horses. Like, he took care of them. Like, I mean, he was all into it. Like, he was in it, and like, he embodied the just everything that you really appreciated about a big brother. Like, he would stand up for me any minute, like, in an instant, for anything. And like, I really miss that about him. Like, he didn't play about me. Like, it didn't matter what it was. And like, I like to think that was the same way, Blake's older brother Richie was as well. And like, I'm just really glad that we were able to kind of bond on that. And it's a really crappy club to be in, but it does feel better to know that you're not the only one in it.
It's a club I do not envy, and it's one that selfishly I hope I'm never in. I do have siblings, but I like to think hopefully I go before they do, so that just that's me being selfish, because I couldn't imagine the pain that you, Blake, and many others are experiencing when they have those traumatic instances. But on the counterhand, and I'm not saying that anything is ever a good thing, but having those moments with other people, people that you idolize, even just people that you may have just met for the first time, and being able to almost bond over that is a feeling and
Yeah,
is a memory that's worth creating in its own right, because
yeah.
now
It eases it. It
you're
eases the
creating a
pain.
brother in a different way almost
Yeah,
in my view. So thank you so much for sharing that, because
absolutely. Yeah,
I
and
know
I would
that's
say
not
it
easy.
eases. Oh no, no. Like I've gotten to a point now, like where I can talk about him, and I can talk about him to other people. Because there was one point in my life where I would never want to talk about him because it hurt so much to bring him up. And I'm glad that I'm in a place now that I can, bring his story alive and tell people about the great father he was, and the unfortunate truth that he left three beautiful boys here that will never really get to grow up with him, and that breaks my heart. And but I'm thankful that I can at least tell them about their father and what he was for me, and just so that they can understand those qualities, and then they can bond together as well.
And I think you and Blake also relate in this regard. Blake had said, "Oh, he would be so happy if he knew what I had done with my life when it came to music, just because he was such a big music fan." So you saying your brother was the real deal, I'm sure that he would just be your biggest cheerleader right now if he were
Oh,
here.
he is.
Yes.
He is. My brother's around me. I feel him all the time, and I know he's here, and he's always cheering me on. And every time, and honestly, I feel like every time I'm on that stage, I can see him up right there watching me and just saying, "Dude, you got this, bro.
Your
Just do
biggest
you."
your biggest fan. Your biggest fan. And you said that. You said that that he would say to you, "Just do you. Just do you." So and you are, and you're doing a great job. So thank you for sharing that, even though it was a little bit more on a somber note. Um, so now transitioning into the playoffs, after you had this conversation with him and you worked with him, Blake had said something to the effect of, if he could just tame the wildness, he would be. And I know you may not have seen it, but it was, he had said it on TV, because you don't really see when they do the cutoff there. You sang "Come Together." You have some great stage presence for a person who said he was shy at one point. How are you able to have that much confidence on stage? Or how have you been able to obtain this much confidence on stage? Because it is remarkable to watch you on stage. You are something special, my friend, and I'm not just saying that.
Wow, thank you, man. I really appreciate that. Honestly, I have to say, and I kid you not, I feel like when we lost my brother, I feel like some of his spirit just came into me. Like I don't even know how to explain it. Like he was the one that was always confident. He was the one that was always like, everyone gravitated towards him. That was the type of person he was. And I just I feel seriously feel like when we lost him that he was just like, give it to him. Give it to my brother. He'll need it. He needs it. He needs it more than me. And I honestly feel that's what it is. That's the reason why I'm as fearless as I am on the stage, because I'm like, you know what? I have 2 to 3 minutes to at least show who I am. Why not show all of me? Why not be like I'm not in it, and I'm not afraid to do that now. I used to be, but at this point, it's like, what is there to be afraid of? There's nothing to be afraid of at this point. You know, I fear death in some ways, but at the same time, I'm like, it's inevitable. So why not accept it and have fun and do the dance as long as I can while I can. And so that's why I don't have any fear when I'm on stage, and I just kind of let go and, be myself, do me, as my brother says, because there's no reason to hold myself back anymore.
I feel like once you're able to truly be yourself in that regard, you just feel like this weight off of you in which you're carefree, enthusiastic, outgoing. So I think that your brother is living through you right now, and I've always felt that way too. I've lost my grandfather, and I've always felt that whenever you lose someone close to you, you're almost a living embodiment of them, and they are just you're just continuing that
Yeah.
legacy and there are traits that they have taken that you're now sharing. So I think it's really impressive that you are able to hone in on those confidence skills, because for a lot of people that's not easy. A lot of people would just kind of stay in that shell because it's easy to stay in that shell.
Yeah.
It's hard to be outgoing. It's hard to put yourself out there in any facet. It's hard to just put yourself out there. So the fact that you're able to, in the way that you're doing on a national scale, there's something working in there, my friend. So I'm glad that you're doing as great as you're doing. Blake chose you to represent him in his final year. You're now in the Elite Eight. What's your schedule look like as you're prepping for the lives that are coming up? Because these lives are coming up. Guess what? Here's some intel. This episode is we normally air on Tuesday. We're gonna air on Monday, just for you, because we're having this interview and we want to do it before the episode comes out. So talk to me about this transition now, because all of that stuff is done months in advance. The knockouts, the blind auditions, the battles, the playoffs, all that is done. This is the first time live on Monday, I believe. So talk to me a little bit about the preparation and all that leading up to where we're at now.
Yeah, I'm very busy, of course. I If I'm not sleeping, it's like hurrying to eat real quick, jumping on a call to do an interview real quick, or just I'm out rehearsing, working on our songs, doing staging, wardrobe, like all those things that you have to do to prep for those 2 hours that are going to air on that Monday. And so I would say, it's very I'm very thankful, for this opportunity. But of course, I'm always thinking about my kids and my wife and my partner. Um, so it's always hard to like try to put yourself in, this, like, it's good to be grateful. I'm glad. I'm very thankful. But at the same time, it's a little daunting to just be like, man, like some part of me is like, man, I wish, sometimes it could be a little simpler than it is, but I'm very thankful, for this opportunity. And if I could do it for the rest of my life and take care of my children, then I would do it, because I love performing, and I love when my daughter, like I have a video of my niece, of my daughter, not my niece, my daughter, pointing at the screen when she sees me, and she's like, "It's daddy, it's daddy." And like to be able to see that, like to see my like daughter get excited to see me on television and to hear me sing, and like hear her humming or singing along to what I'm singing, it's just like, this is crazy. Like, this is some people's lives in the world. Like, they can watch their children, like some children can watch their parents and like performing, at the Oscars or on the Grammy stage. And I think that's really cool. And if I could do that for the rest of my life and, take care of my family, I would do it in a heartbeat.
I read in a book one time that there's no greater feeling than when your child is proud of you. And I think that at any stage, it's not children are so genuine and authentic that they're not absolved
Yeah.
from showing those feelings. So her
Yep.
saying, "There's my daddy. Look, he's a," and to her, you're a superstar, and not just to her, to many others, but I'm sure she is very proud of you, as is your whole family, as are people like myself, and as are many others. So, what can we expect without any spoilers coming up? Monday, it's live. What can we expect? No spoilers. What can we expect?
It's going to be amazing. Everybody's doing like there's so many incredible songs that people are singing. Everyone sounds so good. So good. The coaches are gearing up. They're excited for all of us to do our performances. And honestly, everyone's just ready to do it. Like we're all just like, hey, let's get it done. Let's get out there. Let's have a great time. Let's do what we need to do. You know, we're meant to be here. We were put on the earth to entertain people and show them our gifts. And I think it's gonna be great. It really is. Like, and obviously, it's unfortunate that on the same day, three people are gonna have to go home. But when it's all said and done, everybody should be proud about what they and how far they've made it. Even if someone didn't make it as far as they hoped, I think we all should be very proud of the fact that we all did this because it's hard just doing it in the first place, but to be able to put yourself out there for other people to criticize you, and no matter how good or bad you think you did, always there's going to be someone who criticizes you, and to be able to put yourself out there and show your talents to the world regardless of what people think. I think you are great for doing that, and so I'm very proud of the top 8, and that was also one of the reasons why um I decided to do what I call is my spread positivity. If you notice, like if you look at all the YouTube like performances on YouTube, you will always see a comment from me from anyone's performances on there, because I feel like there's always someone being negative, but why not share some positivity from someone they all personally know and who's on the show with them, so that's what I did for every single person on on all their YouTube, on every YouTube page, every performance. You can go on YouTube now. I guarantee you just scroll down, you'll see Noiva right on there, because I felt like everyone deserved some compliment for what they did and for their gifts and their talents, because there's so much negativity. We need more positivity.
Not that we're discrediting you, but I do want to check it out. So I have my phone here, and I'm going to look up The Voice on
Yeah.
YouTube. But I couldn't agree with you more. I was on a live a week or two ago with Sorella, and I just saw the amount of, for the most part, there's positive comments, but there were some negative ones, and it is a little upsetting. So I'm glad that you have been able. The power of positivity is real. I think it's completely real. So the fact that you've been able to
Yeah,
spread that.
affirmations and positivity are real. There are studies that say if you affirmate about your gifts or your things that you want to do in your life, you have more than a 50% chance of succeeding at those things, because you're affirming yourself. You know what you want to do, and if you bring that positivity into your life and you continue to be positive, then good things are going to happen.
So yeah, I just checked up a random one, and you were one of the first comments up of just being a positive light in this world. So look at you, my friend. You are you are the real deal. You are a amazing person. I'm so glad that you were able to squeeze this in. Now, obviously, last episode we talked about some hobbies that you have. Obviously, this could be a little bit of a stressful time for you. What are you doing to try to help balance yourself as an individual of de-stressing, but also understanding that you're trying to perform at the same time? Is there anything you're doing?
Yeah. So one thing that I've been doing, I luckily I have my computer here, so I've been um I've been spending a lot of time doing some of my little fun gaming things. So I have like a couple of emulators on my computer, so like I can play Pokemon,
Yes.
or if I do feel like it, I have last time I wish I had it this time, but last time that I was here at the hotel, I had a scooter and I would just ride the scooter all around, pretty much around the hotel, and just ride it around and then let other people ride it. So like my good friend Walker Wilson, who was on the show, that's my boy. He was my like pretty much like my by unconfirmed roommate, pretty much, because weirdly enough, every single time that we had a new room, we were always next to each other,
Really?
always. So his room, we were right across from each other during the blind auditions, and then once we came back for the battles and all the other rounds, we were right next to each other. Literally, like his door was here, my door was right here, like right next to each other. And so we would just always hang out, playing music, riding the scooter around the hotel, or just jamming, just having a good time with each other. And so yeah, that's one thing that I really appreciate, about this show too, is that it brought a lot of people together. And I have a lot of lifelong friends, who I'm going to be talking to for a very long time, and I'll be keeping them on my radar for all the amazing things they're going to do in the future. Like Walker, Manessa Simone is another one. Ray Urel, obviously, who's in the top 8 right now. Grace West, who's also in the top 2 with me on Blake's team. Um, Sorella, I freaking love Sorella. The all the girls, Anna, Maddie, and Bella, they're phenomenal. I freaking love them. They're like my little sisters, and their mom is amazing. She's so sweet. Candace, I love you, Candace. You're amazing. Miss Kelly, that's Riley Tate's mom. I love her too. Riley Tate. Who else? D Smooth. D Smooth is amazing. I freaking love D Smooth. Man, there's just so many people that I can just think about like on the spot. But like there's some great people here. Jamar Langley, like a lot of people from this season who I have a lot of respect for, and I could just keep going. Laura Littleton is another one. These it's a lot of people here who deserve to make it, and I can't wait to see what they do in the future.
Right, and I think you bring a valid point. Just because you don't advance in the show does not mean you're not talented.
Oh no, not
So
at all.
it's almost like a sports team. Sometimes you have a bad game. You could theoretically have a rough performance. That doesn't mean that you're a bad
Mm-hmm.
performer. But I
Yeah.
really think that there was a lot of talent this year. There
Michael
was.
Jordan. Michael Jordan wasn't always Michael Jordan.
No, no, no. And so kudos to you that there is as much talent as there is, and you're where you are in the top 8. Well, you mentioned Pokemon. I what I do to de-stress is I play my Switch and I play what is it? Let's Go Pikachu. I don't know if you know that game.
Oh yeah,
I I'm,
I was playing Let's Go Eevee on my flight here.
I'm proud of myself. I caught a shiny Lickitung. Pretty proud of myself. So
Nice.
um anyways, before we wrap this up, I wanna share a joke with you that I shared with you last time you were here. And I want to see if you're
All
gonna
right,
get it immediately. Okay, are you ready?
if I remember it.
All right. It's been a while. What do you call a happy cowboy?
Ha, that was easy. A Jolly Rancher. Bam.
Yep. Yep.
Got it.
No.
I
So
remember it.
the
Remember
reason
that one.
I brought it up was because I don't know if you heard the audio, but check this out. Did you hear that?
Yeah, I
Yeah.
heard it.
I'm so proud of the little listen to this clap option. Did you hear that?
Got an audience.
Yeah, yeah.
Nice.
So, well, anyways, I know you're a very busy person, so I really appreciate that you cram this in. I appreciate that you were able to join the show during this time right in the middle of the season, which has never been done on the show. It also has never been done that we have our second guest on. I will definitely be watching and pulling for you. So thank you so much for taking time out of your day and doing this, my friend.
Man, I appreciate you. And honestly, like, I'm so glad that this, opportunity brought us together because, I've like, from the moment that we spoke, I could tell you were a genuine guy. And like now, like you're a good friend now. Like I can already see that. And I already know someday we'll have a great hug.
Absolutely. And
Yeah, man.
I know you're going to be the first 3-time because whatever happens at the end of the show, we're getting you on again. So I know it for sure.
I'm down for that 100%. I will say this before we close out. So we just got info on the way voting works, and this season is going to be very different on the voting. So everyone will only be able to vote for one artist, only one artist per vote.
Okay.
So this is going to be a unprecedented season now where you will only have 5 minutes during the time that I think they're going to put a 5-minute clock up.
Okay.
On next Monday, after all the performances are done, where everybody will only get 5 minutes to vote for their favorite artist. And you only vote for one artist in that 5-minute time span.
Okay. Well, thank you so much for that breaking news. Look at that breaking news on the Reyes Reflection podcast. They're changing the voting up, which, like all things, positive and negatives, because I do think that it was a little rough when you could like have cast 10 different votes. But I will say this, my friend. I have the app on my phone, I have it on my computer, and I have it on my tablet. So your friend here has figured out how to get at least 3, all right? And I will use them. So, well, thank you so much.
But, man, thank you. I appreciate it. And like always, look, dude, I'm going to be back. I'll be back.
You will
Regardless,
be.
I'll be back.
You will be. No, I know you will be. And we can't wait to watch you again. Pulling behind the curtain a little bit. We're filming this a little earlier, but it will be released on Monday. So, first time for everything. We're releasing this on Monday just because you will be performing Monday night. So, again, the voting has changed. Make sure
007 tune on Monday.
All right. Look at that. Look at that. I love it. Some more behind the curtain. So, that is going to do it for this episode of the Reyes Reflection podcast. Thank you so much for tuning in. Make sure you check out my Instagram and TikTok at I'm Nathanael Reyes. And don't forget to comment, subscribe, like the show. And you know the deal. May you live, may you love, and may you thrive. I'm Oprah, and I love you all.